Hey everybody, welcome back. In our careers, there have been things that we have to do. We may not enjoy them. They may not be the most fun, most enjoyable, things that we maybe just flat out didn't like doing. And what often compounds that is we weren't prepared for them. We weren't ready. So with that, let's get into round 41 of the tactical transition tips. This time the topic is embrace the suck strategically. And for the close range group, those of you looking at your transition right away to say maybe a year from now, plan for identity withdrawal. And for the medium range group, those of you looking at your transition in about 5 years or so, plan for hard days. And for the long range group, those of you looking at your transition 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, you're just starting your career, start building resilience today.
When you transition out, is try to model all of the good things, the discipline, the structure, that little bit of rigidity into your everyday life. And I think that that's a great way to make that transition happen, man.
Take the time to invest in yourself because it means everything. You know? That's what the difference is. The difference is not just to collect a check. It's to live 25 years, 30, 40 years after you retire and pay it forward that way.
Close range group, you're going to have identity withdrawal. We've been at these jobs for years. Some of you may be coming up on 30. This is what's been your life. You may not have tried to. You may have said to yourself, this job doesn't define me. And if you've been able to strike that balance, more power to you. Regardless of it, though, it's changed us. It is our identity. It's who we are. We're drawn to these jobs partly because of that identity. It's not a bad thing. The camaraderie that we get, the structure, that feeling of purpose, that's what's driven us for 20, 30 years, whatever it's been, 10 years. You are going to miss it. There's no doubt about it. I'm coming up on a year out now. Are there aspects that I miss? Hell yes, I miss them. To a degree, depending on how your balance is, you may even feel like a part of you was ripped away. I hope that you have a balance right now and that though these jobs identify us, they're not all that you have in your life. I hope that you have other things going on. But regardless of that, you still need to start preparing now for that loss of identity. It's going to be an emotional roller coaster. You're going to have moments where you're happy that you're stepping away. You're done with it, because as much as we love these jobs, every one of us has been in that position where it's like, God, I can't wait for this to be done. It's that teeter-totter. It's that balancing act. But I can tell you right now that if you head into your transition unable to or not having a really good grasp and control of that teeter-totter, you're not going to be able to hide that emotional roller coaster. You're not going to be able to put a mask on that doesn't show everybody that maybe you're just unhappy or that you don't think you're going to be able to fill that void that these careers give you. You definitely won't be able to hide it when you go into that next employer and try to sell yourself on what you're able to do. You may come across as, man, I'm just not ready for this. So that's what you need to be thinking about heading into your transition. What I would say right now is one of the first things you can do is reach out to those people that you've worked with who have already transitioned out. Look for those people. Hopefully you've stayed in contact with them, but if you haven't, this is something that will benefit them. Reach out to them, get their input on their transition and how it went, how they planned for it, how they prepared for it, and even as well planned or prepared as they were, did it go smoothly, or what kind of mistakes did they make, or what kind of advice could they give you? But you're helping them because it gives them that little bit of, hey man, I'm still kind of in it. I'm still kind of with it. On the opposite side though, seek out those who don't have the positive stories. Seek out the ones, especially if you've heard through the grapevine, hey, so-and-so, man, they really struggled with whatever it was, finding the job, or they got the job, but man, it just wasn't good for them. Or maybe they got hired and they lost their job because they couldn't keep their used to be under control. Whatever it is, those ones that have struggled, those are the ones who are really going to provide you with some nuggets. Hopefully those people are emotionally aware that they're helping others by being open to their failures, their flaws, whatever you want to refer to it as, but reach out to those people and get their input on what was a struggle for them in their transition. You need to start working now on redefining, and I put it in air quotes, the you. Who do you want to be in your next life after you transition away from these careers? Don't rely on your I used to be status. That's not something you want to live with. People around you are not going to want to be working with or working for that used to be. Oh, when I did every once in a while, a story is great, but if that's your crutch that you lean on every single day, it's going to get old real quick. Beyond that, if you spend so much of your headspace stuck in the past, you're not opening yourself up for what can come and what can benefit you in the future. Use this is what I did as the key to open the door. That's great. You're bringing a lot to the table, but also say, all right, that was my past. Let me draw that line. Let me close that door behind me, whatever you want to refer to it as, and put it behind you, except for maybe a story here or there. In addition to this, talk with your friends and your family. I would say get their honest input. Ask them to be brutally honest with you. And what is your personality like? Are you somebody who's on, in red, whatever you want to refer to it as, but you're just always the job? In your head, you might think that, no, man, when I'm not working, I'm off and I'm just me. Your friends and your family are going to be the good barometer for who you really are. Another thing you can do is go through some practice interview sessions. Find questions online for what are questions that you're going to be asked for the given field that you want to go into. But regardless what field you want to go into, you're probably going to get tell us about yourself. Tell us how you fit in this job. Tell us what your skills are for this job, whatever the job is. Record yourself answering those questions and go back and listen to them and see how you phrase your answers. Do you phrase the responses in, this is what I used to do, here's how I can benefit your company? Or do your answers just sound like, yeah, I used to do this and I used to do this and I used to do this and I used to do this? Do you sound like that used to be? Pull on your skills and experiences, obviously, but are you translating it to how you're moving forward? How you can move forward with not only who you are, but what you can offer and bring to this company. If you're somebody who's really struggling with the potential loss of identity, maybe you're in this immediate transition not because you want to be here. You've blown out your back or you're dealing with something, made some mistakes, whatever it is. So you're dealing with that component of something significant happening in your life, and now it's having the ancillary byproduct that you have to step away from these careers. That is a huge trauma dish of noodles that you got to eat. And I would say that's when you need to be talking to somebody professional. Again, you can go back to an honest evaluation of yourself. You can go back to your family and friends and get their input of how you seem to be dealing with it. But if you know in your gut and in your heart that you're really struggling with this, and you're really trying to put that mask on that you're okay with it and you're going to try to be positive and make the best going forward, if that's how you really feel and you know that you're not really doing a good job, go talk to somebody professional. Talk to somebody who's there and skilled to help you through this process. Because, all right, you're being forced into a transition. Get through it and move forward, because there's a lot of good things that can come out of it. Ideally, wherever you are in your journey, get to that transition point, move into your next life as grounded and stable as you possibly can. This episode is brought to you by Trident Coffee, a veteran-owned brand and lifestyle. And while they're masters of cold brew, Trident's beans are roasted to create a flavor that shines whether you drink it hot or cold. There's no bitterness, there's no burnt taste, it's just good tasting coffee. Their coffees taste amazing hot, which is how I prefer it, while still designed to excel as a cold brew. But Trident Coffee is more than just great taste. Trident supports your wellness journey, featuring ingredients like organic mushrooms, adaptogens, and nootropics. It's made for those who enjoy good coffee and value quality and health. So if you're looking for a coffee that meets you wherever your day takes you, hot or cold, you need to check out Trident Coffee. I know I said I prefer hot coffee, but here's a tip from me. Mix their instant cold brew with your favorite protein for a protein coffee drink that's great cold. You can thank me later. I know there's a lot of coffee options out there, but give Trident a try. I know you'll enjoy it as much as I do. Head over to tridentcoffee.com and use the promo code TDP15 for 15% off your order. That's TDP15 for 15% off your order. Medium range group. You need to plan for hard days. I always say this, you're kind of in an awkward position or a unique position, however you want to look at it. You've got some time ahead of you. There's a lot that can happen in these next 5 years, 6 years, whatever it is, that mid-range of where your career might end up. Something may happen tomorrow that you decide, I'm going to prolong my career. Something may happen tomorrow that all of a sudden now where you thought you were 5 years out, you're a year out. I don't know. But putting it off until it's that time is not what you want to do. You want to get ahead of this and start realizing now that you need to put as many things in place and get control of as many things so that when you do come to your transition, you can focus on your transition and the stress that that's going to bring to you. Most important thing, you do any type of research for those of us transitioning out of these careers. What's the biggest stressor? It all circles around finances. Now, obviously, if you're young enough and you want to work or need to work another career, then you need to look at the aspect of how much money can I make at a new given job. But equal to that is, how are my finances going into this transition? Do I have enough money put aside? Are all my debts and everything else in order and I'm good to go with it? How am I going to make my bills for the next 6 months, a year, whatever it is? All of those things related to finances. Does my family want to move? What are my kids' situations? Are they heading off to college? These things bring you stress. Everything on this side of your transition, get those financials in order now. On the other side of the transition, what job I can get, how much that can make, you can't control that right now. But when you get there, you want to be able to give 100% of your attention or the majority of your attention to that, finding the right job, finding the right location where you can live, where your career is going to take you. Focus on that. Don't be focused on, man, how am I going to pay for, the new kitchen my wife wants to put in, or my kid's school, or, hey, I just bought a new car. How am I going to make those payments? Try to get all of that squared away now. Equal to your finances, though, you need to get your family on board with your transition. You have a plan for what you want to do in the next 5 years. Hopefully you've been talking to your spouse, your family about coming up on your transition. If you're in a situation where you're going to be hitting your 30, you're ready to get out, your kids are grown and out of the house, it's just you and your spouse. Does your spouse have the same game plan as you for when you transition out? Are they expecting more out of you when you transition out? Do they want to relocate? Do you not want to relocate? All of these things you need to be talking with your family about. Finances and family are going to be your number one and number two stressors for your transition that you can control. The stressors that come with finding the next job and being prepared and all that, you can control it. But a lot of that isn't going to be there until you're actually in that moment. The other thing is, we're pointing out previously, the emotional burden of stepping away from these careers. Not only are you giving up something you've probably enjoyed doing, that's an emotional stressor. The equal part of that, the emotional balance that you need to get is, how are you currently? Are you naturally somebody who handles stress and anxiety and the pressures of daily life well? Or are you already struggling with those issues? So maybe finances are good to go. Maybe your family's good to go, but you're just somebody who doesn't deal well at adapting to new things or new problems. That's not going to benefit you into your transition. The next company you work for, one of the things that they're going to expect from you is that ability to change and adapt to their culture. So be thinking about how you are currently, and especially if you're somebody who doesn't deal with stress well right now, start figuring out a game plan for you to handle stress. Like I said before, you don't want to get to your transition thinking that all of this stuff is in order, but it's really not. Be honest with yourself. Make sure that when you're approaching your transition, you're getting as many boxes checked as possible. Everything that you have the ability to control, try to get it under control. Make sure that you don't think you're ready. It's either you are ready or you're not ready. And you could equate that to any operation or any task that you've had to do in your career. We've all worked with those people. Man, I'm good to go. And then as you're driving there or as you're trying to get there, all of a sudden they're the ones going, hey, you got an extra battery. Hey, you got an extra this. I thought you were prepared. Oh man, I thought I was too. Because they weren't checking their stuff on the regular and making sure that they had everything in order. You're probably, even if you plan 100% and everything goes the way you plan it, Mr. Murphy likes to jump on board. You're probably going to hit some type of crisis with your transition as far as it comes to getting that next job. If it doesn't, great. But I would say already, not in a paranoid way, but be thinking that, man, things may not go as smooth as I want them to go. Something as simple as company wants to hire you. Hey, you're a great candidate. We'd love, but we can't have you start for 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is. And you weren't expecting that. Whatever crisis comes, be able to handle it primarily because you've got all the other stuff in order. And you're like, all right, I'm good to go. I've got my finances under control. I can ride it out for 3 months or 6 months or whatever it's going to be. Or the company that you were looking to get hired with, all of a sudden, when it comes to your transition, they're not hiring. And now you're in a position of, well, now what do I do? So you're going to hit hurdles and roadblocks. Let those be the issues that you deal with at that time without the extra baggage of any other problems. Prepare now. Start preparing today. Don't be thinking that, oh, I've got 5 years, I've got 6 years. It's going to go quick. You don't want to be unprepared when you get there. You've got time right now to start securing all of you. Secure the person that you are and everything around you, and make sure you're good to go for that transition. This episode is brought to you by Soflete, a tactical fitness company founded by special operations soldiers. Soflete is dedicated to helping you achieve a healthy lifestyle. From expertly crafted training programs to high-quality proteins, pre-workouts, and sleep and recovery supplements, they've got everything you need to power through your day. Soflete also has a full line of clothing. They have you covered from shorts to cold weather gear. Embracing the motto, Die Living, Soflete inspires us all to embrace life with vigor and resilience. So take the first step towards a healthier you. Visit soflete.com. That's SOFLETE.com. And use the promo code TDP2024 to get 20% off your order. Again, that's TDP2024 for 20% off your order. Long range group. You got to build your resilience now. You've got time ahead of you. There's going to be a lot of things that are not going to go necessarily the way you want them to go. You need to build in that adaptability now. Be that person who is able to pivot, move off the X, keep moving forward, and get the job accomplished. You're able to persevere. You become that reliable person of, man, so-and-so gets stuff done. Because your boss is then going to be like, hey, I'm going to whoever, because I know that I can give them a task and that task is going to get completed. They work well with others. They're team players. They lead each other, or they lead their teams well, because you don't fly off the handle. You don't melt down when it doesn't go A, B, C, D. It might go A, B, E, F, then back to C, and you can roll with it. These jobs that we do give us the opportunity to be tested every single day. There's no doubt about it. They are hard on us. They're hard on our families. They're hard on our lives. But don't rely on the hardness or the stress that these jobs bring naturally as your only tool for developing resilience. Put yourself in even harder situations. Put yourself in a leadership position. Be that person that when your boss says, hey, I need a volunteer, and I know this is always the standard line, don't volunteer for anything. But the thing is that for you to be successful, not just in your career, but who you are as a person, volunteering makes you a better person. It forces you to adapt to situations that you might not be 100% prepared for. That's okay. Because the more times that you volunteer, the more times you step up, take on a new project, take on a new team, promote. All of those things are challenges beyond just simply what the jobs offer us, but they make you more resilient. They allow you the ability to test yourself and learn what methods work for you to adapt to certain situations. You have to know, though, by being willing to take on more and accept more responsibilities, you're going to fail. That's okay. The fact is that you keep trying, you keep volunteering, you keep asking for more, and the failures will become less and less, or the failures will become less extreme, because you're going to be dealing with more situations on a more reoccurring basis to make you better at preparing and dealing with them. For your next employer, besides the natural skills that we bring to the table, leadership, responsibility, reliability, all that stuff, the other thing that they're going to want to see in you is adaptability and resilience. Ability to roll with the flow and get the job done when it doesn't go by the book or in a prescribed manner. That's life. Every industry, every job that's out there has those situations where, man, it's not going the way the manual says it's going to go. We all know those people that can pivot and move on with it. And we know those people that when it doesn't go according to plan, they almost have a meltdown, or if nothing less, they just freeze and they need to be pushed forward to make a decision. Start working on your adaptability and your resilience now. Make it second nature by the time you get to your transition. When you move into that transition and you're going to look for that new job, that inherent desire to always be challenging yourself, to always be taking on more responsibility is going to carry over into your job search. You're going to challenge yourself to look for all the potential opportunities that are out there for you. And because of that, new opportunities are going to present themselves because of the opportunities you took on now. Besides that, you'll be able to show your employer that, hey, I didn't just cruise along in my previous career. I always looked for the next option. How could I be of more service? How could I help more to the organization, to my bosses, everything else? Those things are going to be marketable skills and traits that you're bringing in the door that they're going to want to see. Highlight that. Highlight it in your resume as skills or attributes that you have. Make sure when you're talking to those people in those interview processes, explain, not only are you adaptable and reliable, but here's an example of what I did. Here's an example of how I pushed myself to get outside my comfort zone, to not just go with the flow in the sense of just being happy with status quo. I'm somebody who can go with the flow when things go left when they should have been going right. I can deal with that, but I'm not somebody who just sits back and lets the current carry me. If I have to, I swim against the current. Push yourself every single day. Don't settle for just what's there. Don't have that mindset of, well, if they need me to do it, then they'll ask me. No, raise your hand. If they're not asking for volunteers, go to your boss. Hey, is there anything else I can do? How can I help you? What do you need done today? Take something off their plate that then makes you more valuable to them in the long run. Resilience and adaptability are like muscles. You've got to work them out so that when you need them, they're good to go. And you're not going to, quote unquote, pull a hammy because you haven't been using them. In closing, close range group, you need to prepare for the identity withdrawal. It's going to happen. Don't fool yourself. You're going to miss these careers. The question is just how much will you let it affect you? And for the medium range group, you need to plan for hard days. Hard days are coming. Put that safety net in place so that you don't have to worry about the secondary stuff and you can focus on getting through your transition. Long range group, build your resilience today. Challenge yourself now to be better equipped and able to handle what comes your way tomorrow. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your help in growing this podcast. I'm going to keep asking for this. If you could, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Follow the podcast. Please leave a rating. A comment would be great because those little things push it in front of more and more people who can be benefited from hearing this information. If you know somebody that would benefit from it, share the podcast with them. And until the next one, the sucks. Just be in control instead of it controlling you.